It's time to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. Joining me is in-house analyst Obani Akinwale. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, my player.
And via Skype, we have publisher Scroll Magazine, Olori Janet Mba Afolabi. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, Veronica.
All right, let's head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the Business AM. Nigerian firms face new hurdles as IASB plans to amend IFRS. All right, we move now to the front page of the blueprint. APC on 2019 allocation to PDP states. Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Delta, Bayelsa squandered 682.49 billion naira. Says opposition party spent over 5 trillion naira on subsidy. Your party can't match our governor's feats PDP. Our government got fit rating reduced to nation's budget deficit by 72%. All right, let's move now to the front page of the Daily Times. APC PDP trade blame as gunfire rocks Ondo again ahead of polls. You get that story on the front page of the Daily Times. On the front page of the National Economy, fourth industrial revolution. Utomi Teriba, others see huge opportunities for Nigeria. Osinbajo advocates merit for economic growth. Quickly, let's move to the front page of the Leadership newspaper. 1 trillion naira insurance target. Federal government asks states to adopt 5 compulsory policies. Lagos, Ogun, Kaduna Domesticate Insurance Act 2003. That story, you find it on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. And on the front page of the Business Day, Nigerian banks gather defenses to read out a virus storm as provision for loan defaults hit 3 years high. That story you'll find on the front page of the Business Day. And finally, on the front page of the News Direct, Inspector General of Police bans FSARS, other police tactical squads from routine patrols. Osinbajo, Sanwo-Olu, Wizkid, others react. As police arrest 2 FSARS operations, 1 civilian accomplice in Lagos State. And that's the story we will be looking at this morning. I'll start with you, Janet. I'm certain that you are following the uproar, hashtag #EndSARS online. And then we had this development coming from the Inspector General of Police banning the activities of FSARS and other police tactical squads on the road, that they only have to respond to cases like kidnapping, armed robbery, and the likes. I'd like to get your reaction. Is this even something to cheer?
Veronica, the activities of SARS it had been controversial over the years. There had been so many calls to end SARS because some of them have been alleged to leave what they are supposed to do. They now begin to extort even innocent people. Once they see a young boy carry a laptop or maybe he's on dread, he becomes an automatic suspect of fraud or Yahoo. So many times they have allegedly arrested innocent people, extorted money from them, and then sometimes some of these victims or suspects die in the process. So there had been public outcry. The IG must have been, maybe he felt embarrassed by the public outcry, and he decided to now say, let them be restricted to certain areas. And you know, that is not to say that there are not good members of SARS, but the bad eggs among them have given them so much bad image, so much bad publicity, that even the good ones cannot be said to be doing well anymore. Whatever achievements they may have made from the activities of trying to curb crime had been overtaken by the negative report.
All right. Let's bring the conversation into the studio now. Obani, you have been following since 2017 talks about reforming from SARS, the name change to FSARS 2017, 2018, 2019, and now 2020. And a lot of people are saying, would that really change anything? Is this the solution? Is a ban the solution?
I think sometimes we leave the main issue and be chasing shadow. I'm not sure whether the personnel in SARS are the major problem, because our security outfit is a reflection of us as a society.
Right.
Over the weekend, I was pondering about the budget for Nigeria for 2020, 2021. And I discovered that our budget is about 14 billion US dollars. And I decided to share it among a population of 200 million. And I observed that what you have is about 70,000 per citizen for the whole year. So which means, as per the national budget, you are now entitled to about 6,000 naira per month. Now you look at that man, that woman that is carrying the FSARS or police or whatever name you call them. Have you been to their offices? Have you been to their place? Have you looked at their mental state? Have you looked at their psychology? Do you look at the kind of training we used to have for Nigerian police force? Do you look at the situation where their kids need to go to school? Do you know how much they are being paid? So what you find out is that as much as we want to whip these guys for doing what is not normal, what is uncultural, or what is uncivil, it's a typical reflection of our country as a society. Our country is a situation whereby we begin now to celebrate people that are not supposed to be celebrated. You see a political appointee carrying 4 or 5 police officers, and you see the police officers carrying the umbrella. How much are these guys being paid? How are they being treated? What training are they being subjected to? What exposure do they have? Now, once people carry gun, they believe that it's only opportunity for them to amass wealth, to have money, because if the politicians are stealing as we are made to believe, then the only way they can also amass wealth or secure the future of their kids is to carry gun. And who are you accused, or who can you accost? You can only accost armless Nigerian citizens. So it's a function of relation of our society, is our recruitment process.
So invariably, the activities is being fueled by the environment and the society.
It's a reflection of environment. What is the value of an average Nigerian now? What are our priorities? What are the things that, look, a show was ended a few days ago, and somebody was staying touchy bomb for over 70 days and has become a millionaire. And you see that guy carry son in the gun, he's not even sure whether he's going to get his remittance full. Our system needs to be changed, and to shortchange everything, the government of this country, at a point in time, erased what we call history in our schools.
But there are also others within this system that are not carrying guns.
Unfortunately, a basket of eggs that has 30 eggs in a crate and has one that is good, we all generalize that the egg is bad. So you have some people in police that they still have their integrity. You have some people within the system that they still stand by what they stand for. But the challenge is that 1 out of 1,000 is difficult to reflect. Yes, you can infer that culture. But when you have a situation whereby you have a lot of weed choking the seed, so you have people that have good intention, good reasons for joining the police force or any of the forces, but you have even the gas. Are you going to tell me that the police commissioners don't know that those guys sit on the road, harass people, collect money, seize their items? Right. Have you seen the way even a journalist was accused on a protest? So it's a reflection of our society, and we're just overflogging the police. We need to have a renewal of our system, renewal of our mind, bring back history to our system, let people be rewarded based on the value they added to the system, not otherwise.
Olori, quickly, your final word on this now, because we are running out of time.
There's no doubt that the welfare of the police is not too good. The police needs to be properly funded and taken care of. But there's another school of thought that says that even if you pay them 1 million, there are some policemen that no matter what you do to them, they will still be corrupt. Because there are 3 categories of police in the police force. There are those that are there as career officers. There are those that are there because they want to use their position to extort and to steal and to loot. And there are those that are there because they were maybe political personnel to some politicians, and then they now push them into the police force to just have a stopgap and have a job. So they will not be totally committed.
So looking at the newspapers this morning, we'll start with Business AM. It says Nigerian firms face new hurdles as IASB plans to amend FIRS. The Blueprint says, APC on 2019 allocation to PDP states. Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Delta, Bayelsa squandered 682.49 billion. Serap opposition parties spent over 5 trillion naira on subsidies. That's what it says. Your party can't wait and can't match our government feet. Our governor's feet, said PDP. Our government's got Fitch rating, reduced nation's budget deficits by 72%. The Daily Times says here, APC PDP trade blames as gunfire rocks Ondo again ahead of polls. The National Economy says fourth industrial revolution, Utomi, Teriba, others see huge opportunities for Nigeria. The Leadership newspaper says here, 1 trillion naira insurance targets. Federal government asks states to adopt 5 compulsory policies. Lagos, Ogun, Kaduna Domesticate Insurance Act 2003. Business Day is saying here Nigerian banks gather defenses to ride out virus storm as provision for loan defaults hits 3-year high. News Direct is saying IGP bans FSARS, other police tactical squad from routine patrol. Osinbajo Sanwo-Olu whisked others react as police arrest 2 FSARS operatives, 1 civilian accomplice in Lagos State. So we'll stick with the Daily Times this morning. It's talking about the elections 5 days away in Ondo State. APC PDP trade blame as gunfire rocks Ondo again ahead of the polls that's coming up this week. Now, let's look at this election right now. As of yesterday, at Obadeshida Road axis, there was a crisis there, and that will be the 3rd crisis in Ondo State as of recent. Now, how do you see the elections panning out there? Of course, with the security challenges happening there, will this crisis cause voter apathy?
I think as a student of history, we're not too surprised of what is playing out in Ondo State. If you recall the Omobori War of 1983, you recollect the Operation Wild West, and you look at the role played by Ondo State over that period. But one thing that is interesting this time around is that the actors involved in this process, they are within a close knit. Take, for instance, the APC gubernatorial candidate, the person of Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu. His cousin, or sort of, is the candidate of ZLP, who happens to be his former deputy. The man contesting on the other side as PDP, which Mr. Governor has spoken about, is also a senior advocate of Nigeria and is a member of INABA. So, by and large, you see that it's somebody they know each other. But the issue, one thing I've always said is that we don't seem to learn from history as a country. And again, we don't blame ourselves because a nation whereby certain set of people said history should be expunged out of our curriculum is a result of what we are having. But I hope Mr. President will also give firm order, like what we witnessed in Edo State, where the level of criminality, level of MAME, where the anxiety was high and everything was curtailed. Good enough, the same person that had the security for police, the person of DIG, Leyo Yebade, who did a wonderful job in Edo, with a good body language of Mr. President, was able to stem the tides of
the body language is important.
Now it's important that the same level of commitment to free, credible, and no loss of life that was displayed in Edo State should be bring to bear now.
All right.
Otherwise, the government will be putting a lot of life, because Ondo State election is just it's just a way forward to what will reflect in 2023 between APC and PDP. Then again, I think it's high time electorates begin to look outside these 2 options. There are about 90 or whatever political parties in Nigeria where people can make their free choice. We don't need to kill ourselves because these candidates have their kids, their family, not in front of the wall. Why should we kill ourselves because of these guys? Okay,
now let's go to Olori at this point via Skype. Now, the elections in Edo State, of course, he talked about the fact that violence was reduced totally. Of course, that happened when, after the advent of the intervention of the Oba of Benin. What is the role of traditional institutions in Ondo State to stopping this violence that has occurred just this week?
The role of the traditional rulers is that of talking to members of their communities to avoid violence. We are already in the countdown to the election, and how to achieve a violent-free poll is a big task for all the stakeholders, including the traditional rulers, including police, including even the parties themselves, because pandemonium may break loose considering what is going on now on the day of election. And to avoid such, negotiations, consultations, persuasions have to really go on now for people, for there to be peace. What we had in Edo State was a good expectation. A lot of people expected that, well, there was going to be war, but it turned out to be very peaceful. So we hope that that peace will also be taken to Ondo State, and we hope that people will still come out and not be afraid to vote, because if this kind of violence persists or continues, a lot of people may not want to come out because they don't want to risk their life in trying to vote for a candidate of their choice. There have been allegations, counter allegations, accusations, counter accusations from both parties, each alleging that the others is sponsoring thugs or employing thugs to wage war against their supporters. Yeah. So I really want to see a peaceful election. I want to see electoral integrity in that election. And I want to also say that if election were about 7 people, if positions were about 7 people, why should there be violence? Why should there be war? If people say they want their own leader through voting, then the leader should be elected without any form of violence. After all, it's about service. It's not about war.
All right, of course, thank you so much, gentlemen, for talking to us on this. Olori Umba Afolabi, thank you very much for talking to us. And Obani Akinwale, thank you so much for talking to us on this development as well.